Hello, everybody. This is part 6, I think. Yeah, of this 1 hour review. So, hope you're enjoying it and hope it's useful. I love you guys. This last part says state the correct description for each equation. And it's asking for how many solutions it has. There's two ways to do this. One is the algebra way. The algebra way is to do something called the discriminant, which I will write. It's discriminant. It is part of the quadratic formula, not the whole thing. It's just the part that's underneath the square root. Like the whole thing looks like this. The discriminant is just the part underneath of it, right there. So b squared minus 4ac. The reason this is important is because when you look at numbers that you're square rooting, you can square root positive numbers and you cannot square root negative numbers, which is why this option right over here has the word imaginary. If you get a negative number like -7 or something, you cannot do that. You can imagine doing it maybe. Because the quadratic formula has this plus or minus sign here all the time, that's why it says there's two of them. There's two imaginaries. You do the whole plus negative I thingy. You could get two imaginary numbers if it's negative. So if you get a negative answer, that's what you would put down. If you had a positive number like plus or minus the square root of 14, I don't know. This is two real answers, the positive root 14 and the negative root 14. You could take the square root of 14, you just don't want to, but you could. So you would end up with two real solutions. So if it is positive, then you end up with two real solutions. Hopefully you can kind of guess the last one. If it's not positive and if it's not negative, then what number is it going to be? 0. If the discriminant, this thing, is 0, there is only one real answer. The reason for that is because putting plus or minus the square root of 0 quite literally does nothing for you, because adding 0 does nothing and subtracting 0 does nothing. So no matter what, nothing happens, and there's no point in putting any of that at all. So there would only be one answer. And there you go. So the rest of this, if you're just doing algebra, you can write down negative 1. Yeah. A equals -1. B equals -1. And C also seems to equal -1. And you just plug it in here. B squared, so -1 squared is a positive 1 minus 4 times A times C. And you can do it in your head or you can do it on a calculator. 1 minus 4 times -1 times -1. And you get -3. Since that is a negative number, the answer is C, two imaginaries, because it's negative. The next one, this is a 1, this is a 4, this is a 2, so OA equals 1, B equals 4, C equals 2. So B squared is 16 minus 4 times A, C. B squared minus 4AC. Oh, whatever. 4 times 1 times 2 is just 8. So 16 minus 8 is 8, which is positive. And because it's positive, there'll be two real answers. So the answer is A. Lastly, this one is not equal to 0, so you have to subtract 1 first. I guess that's the tricky part. And then you can say A is -1, B is 3, and C is -1. So B squared no, b squared minus 4ac. B squared minus 4ac. Negative times a negative is a positive, times a negative is a negative, so this would be a minus in the end, which is 5. You know, you can double check it, or you could be lazy and not do it to begin with, but whatever. You get 5. 5 is positive. So it looks like this could be 2 real answers again. Boop. And there you go. As I said, that's the one way, the algebra way, to do all of these. You can also do it graphically. So like going back to the first one, if you graph it, which you guys will be not using a calculator like this, you would be using Desmos. It's just I can't do that because I use my cell phone for Desmos, and I'm also using that to record. But if you were to plug this in, negative x squared minus x minus 1, and graph it, you might look out and get something like this. Good. So you see, when it says to find the solutions, they're the same thing as zeros. So if I asked you where it crosses the x-axis, hopefully you could say nowhere. It never touches the x-axis, which is why there's 0 real solutions. So you go to the one that says imaginary. If there's no intercepts, then it's 2 imaginary solutions. If I went to this next one and typed it in, x squared plus 4x plus 2, and graph it, this one should go through it twice. Sure enough, there you go. 1, 2. 2 real solutions. So it was 2 real solutions, like that. And then this last one, negative x squared plus 3x minus 1. I do still have to use this one right here when it's equal to 0. And if you graph it, it goes through twice. So 1, 2. 2 solutions, 2 real solutions, and that's the answer. An example of something that would have 1 solution, if I can think off the top of my head, let's go x squared plus 4x plus 4. I believe that'll work. So like if you were to make a graph that looks like this, then it hits only once. So when you see that, you would go, okay, that's just 1, 0. So it'd be 1 repeated real solution. That's what it looked like. So that's not on this paper, but that's what it would look like. And that is officially the end of this entire thing. Just in case you missed something from any of them, I'll flip through the pages, and you can like pause if you want to look anything one last time, or you can look at I'll upload to my Google Classroom the actual answer key. But here you go. If you want to pause it and look at it or not. That's page 1. That's page 2. That's page 3. The number 4 we did there, for that one down there. And lastly, this page that we just did together. All right. So, have fun, get some rest, get some relaxation, study when you get a chance, and good luck on that test. Peace out.